Welcome to the Bar Exam Toolbox podcast. Today we're talking about what to do after failing the bar exam as part of our quick tips series. Your Bar Exam Toolbox hosts are Alison Monahan and Lee Burgess. That's me. We're here to demystify the bar exam experience so you can study effectively, stay sane, and hopefully pass and move on with your life. We're the co-creators of the Law School Toolbox, the Bar Exam Toolbox, and the career-related website Career Dicta. Alison also runs the Girls Guide to Law School. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review on your favorite listening app and check out our sister podcast, the Law School Toolbox podcast. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach us via the contact form on barexamtoolbox.com, and we love to hear from you. And with that, let's get started. Welcome back. Not much in our law school careers inspires as much dread as the idea of failing the bar exam. So if you just checked your results and found out the worst happened, what should you do? Where do you go from there? Well, first step, let yourself feel the weight of the moment and process all those awful emotions. Because you know what? Jumping right back into studying when you haven't yet worked through the reality of failing is a step towards disaster. I've seen this with students before, and I get it. For those of us who are a little type A, it can be more comfortable to try to channel a hard situation into what we know best: productivity, efficiency, studying even harder. But wait a minute. First, you really need to dig into the grieving process because, and I've said it before, failing the bar really can feel like grieving. You know those stages of grief? You'll probably go through all of them. Failing the bar is really tough, and it takes some time to recover. So it's important to let yourself come to terms with this. It didn't work out for you. It's okay. It's okay if you feel horrible. This moment right now is the very hardest part of the process. Step 2, ask yourself if and when you want to try the bar exam again. For some people, the answer is no and never. And you know what? That's fine too. No one said you had to become a lawyer to find success with a JD. Figure out what your calling is and pursue that. No shame in taking a different path. But if you do want to retake the exam, look at your calendar and ask yourself whether studying now or waiting until a future administration of the exam would work better for you logistically. Taking time off work, finding childcare, maybe even moving, can be time-consuming and expensive, so settle on an exam date that is realistic. There's no rule that you need to take the February exam if you failed July. You can wait until next July if you need to. See what makes the most sense for you, but do it now so you have time to plan. Step 3, and this is a big one, find out why you failed. There is no point in studying the same way that you did last time. Why? Well, because obviously that didn't work. So what is the reason your score wasn't high enough? Did you not manage your time well between exam sessions or between questions? Did you have a general idea of the law but not memorize all the little nuances required to pass the MBE? Maybe your MBE score was great in con law but tanked in property and evidence. Keep in mind, the planning and writing you do for essays and PTs can also have a significant effect on your overall score. And this is something most students who fail need to work diligently to improve. If you failed the bar, you probably have some kind of sneaking suspicion as to why that happened. It could be as simple as not having a handle on what the exam administrators were asking you to do. So check through your scores. Figure out what it was that brought you below that passing threshold. That way, you know what to focus on next time around. Step 4, map out your study plan and your calendar and do some research about the various resources available. Set a routine for study days that is realistic for your life. Get your materials in order too. Are you using any particular bar review books or apps? What worked well for you last time and what didn't? There are some useful outlines, books, and websites out there, and we have discussed many of our favorites on our blog and in our podcast. But do some digging so you can narrow down your choices. You don't want 5 different outlines of black letter law. Get a good one. Stick to that. Information overload is a common problem we see bar students running into, and you don't have time to sift through and compare several different outlines on a daily basis as you learn the law. Use that time memorizing and practicing instead. Step 5. Ask yourself if you need help sticking to your plan. If your score was very close to passing and you know exactly why you failed, plus you have plenty of study time to spare, you may be well equipped to handle preparing for the next exam on your own. If not, though, consider whether anything you struggled with last time around requires additional oversight. For example, some of my past students have had a good idea of what they need to do, but what they needed help with was accountability and self-discipline. Other students, and this is the more common scenario, are ready to work hard but aren't quite sure what steps they should take to improve. A situation we see very frequently is students who may not know what kind of writing the graders want to see and how to make those changes to their process so they can bump it from more mediocre scores to passing scores. I mentioned this just a minute ago, but if you don't understand why your scores were low, especially your writing scores, be sure to get help. You don't want to waste time and resources trying to fix a problem you don't fully understand. You can check our blog for more tips on how to write for bar graders. Maybe even ask a tutor, classmate, lawyer mentor, or even a former legal writing professor to read one of your essays and help you see where your writing went wrong. When I work with a new student who failed the exam, one of the most important things I do is go through those essays and PTs as soon as they're made available, so I can see what it is about their planning, structure, or analysis that needs fixing. Even if you go it alone, you should review your own writing from the last exam. Critique each essay yourself and see if you can spot patterns in problem areas, such as incorrect law, shallow analysis, missing issues, or a lack of organization. Every bar student is different, so see what your weaknesses are before jumping to try and strengthen them. Finally, just recognize that this isn't the end of the world. Even if it feels like it. I know that failing the bar is essentially going to become a small blip in your otherwise wonderfully successful career as a lawyer. A lot of smart people before you have failed this exam for a lot of different reasons. You're not alone. And failing this exam does not mean you're not cut out to practice law or that you won't find success in your future. Even though this feels monumental now, it's just a tough moment in a longer process, and you haven't reached the end yet. So stick with it. You can get there. I know it's a hard place to be in, but we've seen many, many, many students go from where you are right now to passing the exam and never looking back. It takes time and effort, but it is doable. I want to take a second to remind you to check out our blog at barexamtoolbox.com, which is full of helpful tips to help you prepare and stay sane as you study for the bar exam. You can also find information on our website about our courses, tools, and one-on-one tutoring programs to support you as you study for the UBE or California bar exam. If you enjoyed this episode of the Bar Exam Toolbox podcast, please take a second to leave a review and rating on your favorite listening app. We'd really appreciate it, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. If you're still in law school, you might also like to check out our popular Law School Toolbox podcast as well. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to reach out to Lee and Alison at lee@barexamtoolbox.com or allison@barexamtoolbox.com, or you can always contact us via our website contact form at barexamtoolbox.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk soon.